Oh, we're back. They still leave me on the air. I did it. It's weird, right? It used to be like television or something if you were on there. I had a radio show for a quick time, and they could yank the plug on you. And of course, YouTube could always yank the plug on me here. But, as far as quality of content, they're not going to yank the plug on me for that. So I could be as shitty as I want and still keep streaming. But what matters is, what do you, the audience, think? And you think I'm okay, which I'll take. Being just okay is better than being shit. So I, like Trump, have a superpower. And that is, my opponents are some of the dumbest people in the world. So it keeps me looking good, even if I'm only of average intelligence. Anyways, Normal American Show host Rob Noerr, happy to be here. On a limited amount of sleep, but happier than hell. What a great day. Oh, look at that. Friends coming in already. You know what's amazing? It doesn't show up on the super chat goal, but before I even start streaming, bam! I got a super chat already for 2 bones. Bandit. Thank you so much, man. And then the great Spiro says second. What a crew. Even if it's just Bandit and Spiro, it's a good crew. Here's a whip song. I got a phone call I got to answer real quick. Be right back.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the Lashes says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the dark Lord's golden.
Hey, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Goodbye. Oh, I'm so sorry about that. That was my back doctor, people. So forgive me. They always call like right around noon, which is a weird time to call, I feel, because aren't most people eating lunch? Nonetheless, I'm so sorry. Man, if I'm not late, I'm taking calls at the middle of my show. What the fuck is up with me? Well, this is what it's like to be a very busy person. Somehow I am both simultaneously the most busy and least busy person you'll ever meet. It's very weird. Like I was talking to my wife earlier today. It's like, I feel like legitimately I'm probably doing 11 to 12 hours of work a day. But when you take a step back and it's like, well, what's your work? Well, most of it's sitting on my ass talking to people I like in the chat. That don't feel like work. And then because I'm a weird nerd, a lot of it's research, what I would be doing anyways. I'd be doom scrolling X, coming up with arguments and shit, even if I wasn't paid to be doing it. So here I am. So it feels like I'm busy. So like someone calls and they're like, hey, can you come to this doctor appointment? I'm like, I don't know, I got shit going on. But in the moment, it doesn't feel like I'm busy in that sense, because I'm just talking to you all. It's a weird dichotomy. Anyways, I love it. I couldn't be happier with how things are going. A couple more super chats. Seabass, thanks so much, $10. Look at that, man. Says the one and only mother effer Rob Noerr. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And then Long Nate, $10 says, good morning, sir, for the phenomenal no prep debate with the ridiculous Wick last night. Yeah, I mean, I actually enjoyed the conversation with Dylan. Now, I disagree with Dylan, but I do respect the fact that he went to Ukraine, whatever you think about him. And at least he's making arguments, and we're sort of talking through hypotheticals, and we're talking through what we would like to see. Wick, I don't know how anyone could think that Wick benefited his side. Sometimes it's best to just shut up and let the person who knows more about you on your side of the issue talk. Wick decides to step all over his own toes 50 times throughout the stream and then double down because he thinks if he acts like Destiny and spurgs out and stuff, that somehow means that he's doing well in the argument. It's not. Everyone can see what's going on. But it is what it is, so I don't really give a shit. But I'm glad you all appreciated it, and I hope you know that I, especially after he started spurging out, I kept prodding him for you all, for the audience, because it was becoming quite boring, I think, for the audience. So I like to do my little bit to up the intensity a little. Yeah, I unfortunately was in the restroom when Grid started giving him the business. So I missed the beginning of that. But Raulasaurus Rex says, what's your thought on adult websites being required to get ID verification? I'm very opinionated on this. On one hand, anytime that identification is required for something, the libertarian light version of me is like, I do think that adult websites are something that there should be more of an effort to keep minors off of it. There is really a disgusting pandemic in this country with adult websites in general and people abusing them, and certainly with children getting access to them. And if there's no attempts at verification, then I think that this makes it all but inevitable. Does that mean that the attempts at verification are well thought out or that are without flaws? No. In fact, one of the things that can happen is by proving your age and stuff, you're giving personal information that could then be exploited in other ways. But I think that that's a necessary evil, and we should tweak how you prove that verification. Otherwise, get rid of the damn websites in general. Now, I say this as I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you like I've never looked at pornography. I have. It's not something that I'm proud of, and it's something that even if you've done it and you continue to do it a lot, you should really strive to not do it. And I think you'll be much happier. And the research is unbelievable that shows just how damaging, like, consistently watching adult material like that can be to a person. So I guess that's my real shit watered down take on that. I've heard scuttlebutt in the way that some of this age verification is being done. It's pretty shady. That may be true. But as a general principle, I don't want kids consuming that sort of adult material. And so we have to take action to prevent that. The sexualization of children in this country is fucking disgusting. So, Will Wolfter, $2 says, did you see New York appeals throughout the fraud case? No, for $2. What fraud case? Tell me a little more about what you're talking about. But I didn't see that apparently. See? Well, how could you disagree with me? I'm so based. Now, listen. It's going to be an interesting night tonight before we get into the calls. Letitia James' case got thrown out in appeal. Her case against Trump or the case against her? Let me look it up real quick. The judgment against Trump. Oh, that's funny. Of course it did. Thank you so much, Will Wolfter. Gives me the information and $2. I should just play dumb on everything. Huh? Letitia James, who's that? And we'll be like, here's $2 more. Brilliant grifting strategy. I'm getting better at this grifting shit. But thank you so much for $2. Says the $500 million fraud case. Yeah, it was clearly bullshit in the first place. Now, of course, Democrats are like, going after people for supposed being distruthful on loan applications. Now that we see Adam Schiff, there's this story of the one Federal Reserve governor that's being investigated for mortgage fraud. Now watch Democrats say, oh my gosh, it's authoritarianism. That's what they did. Remember, the case against Trump was so ridiculous. He paid back the loan. The bank was happy. They went after him. $500 million they charged. I asked over and over, like, what is the amount, right, that he, if you looked at the base amount that he overestimated his house, because we have to determine what that is to determine what the proper fine would be. And they just pulled out $500 million out of their ass. And everybody knows what the intention was the entire time. The intention was, we're going to try to bankrupt this dude while he's in the middle of a campaign for presidency. That's what was going on. Everyone knows it. And I'm sick and fucking tired of these lefties pretending that wasn't the case. I'm tired of it. Is it true that someone like Adam Schiff's being investigated because he's someone that was so shady and going after Trump and shit? Probably. I don't give a fuck. Democrats have set the precedent. Show me the person, I'll find you the crime. As long as everything's being done by the book, as far as there's a bar that needs to be met to start an investigation. We've been told by Democrats that bar is very low, and no one's above the law. Then fuck it. Any little crime you find, mortgage fraud, whatever, throw the fucking book at them. That's the precedent. Go get them. This is the world that the Democrats wanted. Not me. I didn't want this tit for tat. It's what they wanted. And they ain't going to stop. They aren't going to stop until they suffer the consequences which they sought upon others. So suck it up, Adam Schiff. Suck it up, Fannie Willis, Letitia James. Isn't Letitia James herself being investigated for mortgage fraud of some sort? Lying on an application about her primary residency? Uh-oh. What's she going to do? Say it's not fair? Hey, you set the precedent. You individually did this. Long Nate, $5 says, that was almost as smooth as Andrew's last TikTok invasion. He got the channel host to talk about Israel-Palestine without acknowledging a thing. They nuked their own channel. So, watch them crying now like, oh, so I'm glad that case got thrown out. It should have. It was a bullshit case. Every one of us knew it. Now what? By the way, where's all the Democrats going to be that talk about the importance of rule and law and shit? So this case was wrong. It ends up getting thrown out. But it dramatically affected the ability for Trump to spend money on the 2024 election. Whoopsie. Oh, whoops. This is always the case with them. When it matters, when it's affecting politics, they put their fingers in their ear. La, 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 la. No, it's all good. And then afterwards, like, oh, okay, we were wrong, but it doesn't matter now. It was a long time ago. It doesn't affect us now. The case didn't get thrown out. The $500 million penalty did. Same difference. It's clear that excessive penalty was a joke. It's the same with the Alvin Bragg case. It was, at best, what they had was a campaign finance violation. Same crime, by the way, that Hillary's team committed. That's all it was. And they decided, because it was beyond the statute of limitation, to use a novel legal theory to make it 37 felonies. Just so they could say, see, this man's a felon. And they knew that the average person isn't going to look into exactly what happened. They're just going to say, oh my gosh, Trump committed 37 felonies? What did he do? Well, he put down something as legal expenses that were actually a campaign contribution. Or for campaign work. That's it. Isn't that what Hillary's team did with the dossier? Yep. And what'd they get? A small fine. And Trump gets 37 felonies? Yep. And it was both out of New York? Yep. In the same district? Yep. And Alvin Bragg chose to not look into Hillary, who falsified these documents? Yep. But he created a novel legal theory to go after Trump? Yep. Who was in the middle of a campaign? Yep. Who Bragg happened to be opposed to politically and is from the other party? Yep. Who someone from the DOJ in Biden's White House, who at the time Biden was going to be the candidate in 2024, for whatever reason took a step down, a demotion, and decided to go work for Alvin Bragg as an assistant instead of keeping his cushy job at the DOJ? Yep. Okay. But now, did Trump commit these crimes or not? It's whataboutism, blah, 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 blah. Great. You got her, dude. Standard's been set. So keep that energy up when Trump's administration starts investigating all of your people. Did they commit the crime or what? I don't want to hear. It's whataboutism. Oh, but Trump's targeting them. Whataboutism. Did they commit the crime or not? It's that simple. The standard's very low. No one's above the law. So I look forward to it. Man, it feels good. Feels good to be on this side of things. Well, I'll just appeal to the authorities, say these fuckers are guilty. There you go. If they're found guilty, I'll say, see, that's it. I don't want to hear about the specifics of the case. They're found guilty. That's what she said about Trump. Guilty. So shut the fuck up. And then watch how different it'll be. Again, not my standard, not the standard I wanted. This is the standard that the Democrats wanted. This is what they called for. So here we go. But. When I was reaping, it was fantastic. And now that I'm sowing, this sucks. But wait a minute, Rob. Won't you be pissed if Democrats do the same tit for tat back to Republicans when they get power? Yeah, they were going to anyways. The only chance of stopping that is to make them face the consequences they sought to other people. You think they were going to magically stop using lawfare to go after their opponents that they saw as threats, like Trump or Trump's family or Vance or conservatives at school board meetings or pro-life people or conservatives that put memes online? You think it was going to stop without any consequences? Of course it wasn't. But Rob, all of those investigations were legitimate. They were legitimate. Great. And so are the ones that Trump's administration's doing. End of argument. As long as they take it to court, right? Then let's let the jury decide. And yeah, you're right. The process oftentimes is the punishment. When the DOJ is coming after you or these high powerful prosecutors, oftentimes, even if you're found not guilty, it could ruin your life. Oh well, no one's above the law. Right? The bar for starting an investigation is very low. I've been told that many, many times. And no one's above the law. So, hey, why not? And if the DOJ just happens to go as light as possible against Republicans, against Trump supporters, and happens to go as heavy-handed as possible against Democrats and people that are opponents of Trump, oh well, precedent's been set. That's how the FBI did things under the last administrations. No problem, right? Everybody said that's cool in the gang. Let's give pardons to everyone around Trump's team that maybe did it, or immunity to anyone around Trump's team that might have done anything, right? That's how we do it. And then we aggressively, hell, we even get illegal FISA warrants to spy after the other side. Totally fair, right? We'll aggressively go after leakers and whistleblowers that harm our side and then protect the ones that help our side. That's how it's done, right? That's what I've been told. I admit, when I said this shit's bad, I admit I was very wrong. I'm convinced. Now that my guy's in power, I'm convinced. I'm convinced the Democrats had the right idea. Yep, no one's above the law. The bar for starting an investigation is very low. Makes sense. You know, when I talked about like, geez, you might not like this if the shoe's on the other foot, and they said, nonsense, your guy will never win. We'll get away with this. Okay. Now, of course, the truth is, I would like to have a detente and to stop this tit-for-tat shit, but not going to happen until they face the consequences that they've sought upon other people. So, anyways, I'm sitting here ranting and raving, of course, awesomely, as always. Also, while I'm doing this, got the old grip guy going. Not going to lose any pickle jars or olive jars like Andrew Wilson. We work on the grip while we're doing the stream. Right now I'm using this guy, but then I also have this and, you know, other things. It's very, you know. I should go back and watch. I missed what started Wick yelling with Grid. I missed that. I should go back and watch that. Anyways, Grid, if you want to call in and talk about it, I'd be happy. Let's put the call-in number out there, anyone who wants to call. Now, I remind you, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, there's a point to all this ranting and raving, and that's to make me money. More importantly, to give you all the opportunity of giving, which is by far, I've been told, better than receiving. It doesn't feel like that. Receiving the money feels very good, but apparently giving it feels even better. So, trying to give you that opportunity, and we're trying to raise $357. Yes, very nice. Now, there's a couple other things going on before there's a lot of meta shit going on with my channel lately. So let me go into a couple of them. Meta thing number one, any $20 donation, not $25, not $15, not $50, any $25 or 20, see, I'm screwing it up. Any $20 donation will get you the whip song, even if you didn't ask for it, unless you specifically say, please, no whip song. So that's fun. The other thing that's going on, I don't know how this happened. I blame Level 4 Lobster, which, in fact, I've started to blame Level 4 Lobster for a lot of issues that I have in life. It's very nice to have a scapegoat. Anyways, you have the group of people that give money like $4.99, right? So there's change to it. And then you have the people that have OCD that are like, nah, you give like $10, not $9.99. And so some of those people will try to make the donation an even number. So right now we have $38.97. Someone might donate $1.03. That way it will get us directly to $40. I enjoy that because it gives people an incentive to donate. And I really like seeing how the battle lines are drawn through the audience. You have Team OCD that's like, no, must be even numbers. And then you have Team, basically the Joker that's just like, we're introducing chaos into the system. So, yeah, it's Apple Pay, but there's also There's also people that are intentionally doing it. So, let's get to our friend Nate for $10 says, like and share the stream, folks. Subscribe. Those are the free options, but don't forget the $357 goal. We're going to try to make it there today. Let's open up the lines. There's tons of topics we could talk about today. I'll leave you pick, though. I enjoyed that first topic. I know people are just chomping at the bit to call in and agree with me, which is, nice. I'd prefer if they disagree. Excuse me. Oh, man. I heard a little beep. That means someone called in already. Now let's, hey, I didn't like my own stream. 79 people watching, only 25 likes. What? What's up with that? It's fair. I get a lot of hate watchers. Fair. All right. Let's bring on the first caller. It is the aforementioned friend of the show, Grid Motorsports. Real quick, Ron Clay donates $3.57 and says, Agent of Chaos. Thank you, Ron. I enjoy it.
That's awesome.
We'll see.
That's actually really cool.
Yeah. What'd you think of the debate panel last night?
Honestly, I thought Dylan Burns was going to be the problem, and it turned out to be straight up Wick-tism all night. That dude was off the rails, and I even I sat there quietly letting you two go back and forth, and I let Dylan speak, and I'm like, okay, here I'm gonna go now. And that motherfucker actually interrupted me. Like I was making a good point. Everything was going smoothly. And then he had to interrupt me because he wasn't getting enough attention, I guess. And then
it was on
Gibbs muted me. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was the one getting interrupted.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find the clip, because I missed that. I missed you getting I just came back. I was in the restroom, and all of a sudden you're like, you're yelling, and I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, let's see, live streams. Let's see if we can find it on Gibbs' channel here.
But it was honestly a better session than I thought. It kind of went the way I thought it would. As far as I kind of knew what Tyler was going to do. I really didn't. I felt like I knew where you were going to go with it, but you can never be too sure because you can come at things from a couple of different angles. I absolutely 100% knew that Wick was going to be Orange Man bad all night long. That's what he does. He can't help it. It's what he does.
Well, the problem is, like, Wick, he's not doing his side any favors. I think that sometimes he gets out of his depth. It happens to all of us. Like there are topics or things that you just sometimes don't have much to say. It's like, I don't have much to add to this. A lot of times I feel that way when it comes to like some of these cultural issues. Like people ask me all the time, are you going to go on whatever podcast? What would I say? Really? Hey, don't do porn. It's bad.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what I could add. I don't know how fun I would be. Like, I think what people want to see is like a clash. Like, what the hell are you doing? And I don't know that that's within my normal character. Right. So, stuff like that. It's like, I just don't know. Oh, let me check something here.
You can absolutely rage though, Rob. I've seen you just, and honestly, the back and forth between you and Wick last night was really good. It's an interesting thing with Wick when Wick's going back and forth with you is he tries so hard to look like he's the calm one, but you look at him and he's seething, like he's just so angry about it.
Yeah, and so what he does is, I'm so sorry, was getting a message from the Crucible there. What he does is, when he's backed into a corner, he just doubles down on like what he thinks is like a Destiny impression. Spurg out! And then you're like, wait a minute, and just doesn't give you a chance to talk. And then what happens is, I'll be straight up, I'll call it as I see it. Gibbs is doing a shit job moderating. he's allowing everyone else has been that entire debate. The moderation was almost non-existent in a good way, because when you're talking, Dylan's listening. When Dylan's talking, we're all listening. When Tyler's talking, we're all listening. And yeah, you might say, well, wait a minute, like a quick point or something. But in general, everyone's being respectful and allowing the other side. You might say, hey, can I get a point in there? It was I thought it was.
I did do that. I did. Yep.
Right. But the entire crew, it was very respectful, and everyone was giving ample time to everyone else. Sure. Of course, as it'll break down, some people will get more time than others. But in general, and then what happens is Wick sort of starts to get mad because he was embarrassed because he made some points that were shit, and we started calling him out. Like, for example, his point that's like, Trump's not predictable, or Trump's so predictable. Whoever the last person that talks to him, that's the position he takes. It's like, yeah, that's just blatantly not true. That's a gross oversimplification. As even Tyler points out, it's like, look, consistently Trump's foreign policy has been, very much aggressive towards Russia. So the idea that he's flippantly changing, et cetera, it was nonsensical. And then I'm like, well, who will he be in the room with? Because if you don't know, then once more, it's not predictable from the perspective of an opponent. Like, Russia wouldn't be able to predict, well, is Trump going to listen to Vance today? Is he going to listen to Scott Bessent today? Is he going to listen to Marco Rubio today? All of those are vastly different perspectives. So it gets a little embarrassed on that, and then he gets embarrassed on the intel thing by his own side. Right, he just says like, "Oh, Trump didn't show intel. That's why recently Russia's been making gains." And basically his partner Dylan's like, "I'm not so sure about that. That's actually
he said that was flat wrong." Like,
right?
He's like, "No, it was like for like 2 minutes that it mattered, and then it was gone."
Yeah, in like March, right? And Wick said recent gains.
Months ago.
That ain't March, right?
Yeah,
and so then when I wasn't even being a dick, I just, because this is something, and I mentioned this later in the debate. Although being on the ground and talking to people there, I think is very important. By no means does that mean that other people can't have an opinion or that your opinion's correct. There are definitely advantages to talking to people on the ground, right? You're definitely getting a perspective, and oftentimes that perspective could give you a true picture of what's happening there that we don't see. But you're also getting a very biased picture, right? Like, clearly, if you're embedded with one side, you're going to get a biased picture. So you take it all with a grain of salt. But it's certainly, I like talking to Dylan for that reason. He's there. I'm getting a perspective that I'm really not getting elsewhere. So I like that. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but okay. Like, so Wick says, basically, I disagree. I think that this intel, I just said, well, where's your source? Like, I'm not yelling source to be a dick. It's just like, we now have two directly competing from the same side, two people that agree with each other on the conclusion that are like disagreeing fundamentally, like opposite with something. One saying lack of intel is the reason for Russia's gains. The other side saying, no, that intel sharing is occurring. All the people I'm talking to say that it has nothing to do with that. Who's right? One says, well, I'm talking to people on the ground. The other says, what was his source? That's all I ask. And that's when he started to get pissy, because he knew that he was
Orange Man bad.
Right. He knew he got caught. And so then he tried to flounder. And so then in his head, he's like, ooh, I'm going to get Rob next time he says something. So I'm making a point, right? Which is, look, I don't think Zelensky should have publicly disparaged Trump and Vance. If he had a problem with their plans, he should have said it in private. But once you do this publicly, then you're just inviting someone to say, fine, scrap the whole deal. Where did that land him? Dylan says with a better mineral deal, and I start to say, it would have taken me 20 seconds. This is what I was going to say. Sure, but they could have got that better mineral deal by disagreeing behind the scenes. The fact they did it publicly meant that Trump basically came out and said, we're not giving you aid anymore. And then they had to restart the whole process. And how many people died as a result of that? How weaker was Ukraine in those months because of that decision? Now, Wick has to spurg out and be like, oh, better mineral deal. See, you're fucking wrong. You're wrong. You said, how would they get a better mineral deal if you're saying they should have signed the original? I didn't say they should have signed the original. I'm saying it worked out poorly because it caused Trump to be pissed off and say, then kick rocks. I'm not interested in dealing with you, Zelensky. In fact, not only do I know that that's what people on my side think, because that's what I saw, but that was the Democrat criticism of Trump. How dare he stop sending aid? How dare he stop sending intel just because he's pissed off because of Zelensky? That's the point. But that's it. So, like, instead of letting me finish my point and Gibbs stepping in and going, Wick, just shut up and let him finish his point, right? Wick lets fucking Spurg Supreme or Gibbs let Spurg Supreme Wick just constantly interrupt me, which then I'm going to go back at Wick like, what the fuck are you doing? You're wrong. That's not what I said. You mentioned my name, so I'm going to fucking, and it's like, all right.
That was so childish, man.
And then Gibbs is like, okay, we're going to move on. Cool. So now the impression is Wick got exactly what he wants, which is he muddies the water, he filibusters, he talks over you, he interrupts, and then he can say to his audience, Rob didn't have a good answer. No shit, because I wasn't allowed to talk, right?
Yeah.
And then when Wick's talking shit on me, I'm not interrupting him. I let him go. And it was, so after that point, I'm like, well, fuck this, Gibbs. If that's going to be the way the game's played, then what's my incentive to not just interrupt people to do the same thing? But I'm not going to do it, right? Because I'm not a childish asshole. But, you know, why would I come back here? If that's how it's going to be, if you're just going to leave someone filibuster and talk over, and there was only one person doing it, the whole fucking debate. And it's like, it's always this fucking, okay, both sides need to calm down. No, it's one side. It's one fucking guy that's the problem. Everyone else could talk, even if we're disagreeing. You could disagree with me, Grid, and I sit there and listen and go, wait a minute, here's where I think you're wrong. Dylan could disagree with both of us. It's just Wick. It's just Wick because his feelings got hurt because he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
He didn't get the attention, right? Dylan was getting all the attention, right? And Dylan, and I'm going to be honest, I actually thought it was going to be reversed. I thought Wick was just going to basically sit there and kind of maybe throw in a snide comment or two. And I thought Dylan was going to spurg. But it was Dylan was like pretty much even the whole night. He was just like, yeah, this is what it is. This is what it isn't. He gave Trump credit for the things that he did. He called him out for the things he didn't like, which I thought was a pretty balanced take. And
Warren says
actually answered questions, right?
Warren says Rob admits he didn't present a good answer. That's not what I admitted at all. Wick said, you said X. I said, no, I didn't say X. He goes, but didn't Y happen? Yeah, Y happened. And didn't Z happen? Yeah. Aha, therefore you said X. And I say, no, I didn't say, but wait, if you'll hear, I didn't say, but
he
wait, what I'm
spurred
trying to
so
say is,
hard.
and Warren's like, got him. Whoa, Rob got burned. He didn't have a good answer. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Low information people like you, and I know you're just a troll. You'll say shit like when I'm talking to Grid here and we're agreeing, just having a conversation, Rob's getting cooked, right? That's because you're a fucking sack of shit. Like, you know, just local troll. Like, I see you people all the time.
Low level.
Oh, Rob's getting burned. You know, Wick got fucking crushed. Everyone that watched knows Wick got crushed. Me saying that this dude spurred out and wouldn't let me get my answer out so that Wick could yell, Rob didn't have a good answer, is bullshit. I did have a good answer. Eventually, when Gibbs allowed me to talk 20 minutes later, I gave that answer. Wick didn't have a response to it. He just said, nuh-uh, I know what you meant was sign the mineral deal, and then they could have got a better mineral deal. Absolute bullshit. What I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Warren, we're going to rewind. We're going to rewind, and if you're right, then I'll offer you an apology. If I'm right, that it's not that I said, I admitted that I didn't present a good answer and that I didn't present a good argument, as opposed to saying, Wick wouldn't let me. If you're right, I'll apologize. If you're wrong, you're banned from the channel. Fair deal? How's that sound?
That is a fair deal.
Warren, that sounds fair, right?
Yeah.
What I said, what I think I said was, Wick spurred out so I couldn't get an answer out so that he could yell at his audience, Rob didn't have a good answer, right? You're saying that I admitted that I didn't present a good argument. Okay, here we go. We're going to go back. Is that fair, Warren? Okay, now you're saying something different. I am saying something different. Go fuck yourself. See ya. All right. Anyways, Grid, what were you saying?
Oh, so it was an interesting. I just thought it was interesting. Jantix is right. I did say I believe a lot of because, to be honest with you, I don't know that I don't have any confidence in what people present as facts when it comes to Ukraine. So I don't think that you can say this is what happened. You can say this is what I believe happened. This is my understanding of what happened, and then we can have a dialogue about it, which obviously. Dylan was capable of doing, and Wick was not. And I listened a lot more last night than I normally do because, to be honest, I really wanted to try and understand where Dylan was going to come from because I thought he was going to be the problem, and I wanted to hear the arguments that Wick was going to make. Wick never actually made any argument. Now, it was just all orange and bad.
when he did start to make definitive claims, even his own partner was like, I don't agree with that. He
Yeah,
got
that's
embarrassed.
that's not
And
right.
so, I mean, I don't know how to put it more simpler than this.
Right.
His strategy, and you see this a lot, when people get embarrassed or if they don't have anything to say, what they do is the destiny strat. Spurg out, wait. And he's just going to spurg out. And he's like, yeah, that means I did something. And this is a dude that like prides himself on being a moderator.
I believe is a legitimate debate position.
So let's play this clip because I haven't seen this. This is, I think, when I get up and go to the restroom, and I don't know what happens, but you end up yelling at Wick.
As Dylan very, very eloquently, by the way, I'm shocked. The way he talks about it is the Ukrainians are
a backhanded compliment there.
Oh, welcome to the
You were
South.
so articulate, Dylan.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know. I'm sorry. I just didn't know. I'm sorry. But at any rate, yeah, I mean, Dylan did a great job of illustrating exactly why Ukraine is in the position it's in and why it's going to cost them dearly to end this war. I don't care about who did what 6 months ago or a year ago. None of that fucking matters. None of it matters. All that matters is what happened in Alaska, because that's yesterday, and what happens tomorrow when Zelensky wakes up and tries to talk to Putin or not talk to him, or Putin decides to put on his big boy pants and go stomping around. And that's what really matters. And I don't really give a shit about the rest of it. I think that we've wasted a lot of time here tonight. And although I really did enjoy listening to Dylan and to some degree Lactoid. But I think that ultimately the lines in the sand that Putin have drawn, he knows that he doesn't have to give up shit. He doesn't have to. He can just sit there and continue to throw bodies at it, and he doesn't care. He does
That's
not.
why
I mean,
we're not
and
getting
so,
peace.
so
You understand, right? Because we haven't made it costly enough.
you understand how to keep your fucking mouth shut.
Do you
You've
understand
not
how
been able to
make
accomplish that
Do
all
you understand
night.
how to make
I
this
have
an actual
not
conversation?
interrupted you. I have sat here quietly, you dumb fuck.
You should have
and
been
been really
kept that up.
respectful.
You
So
should have
shut
fucking
the
kept that up. You have
fuck
not
up
been.
and
Oh my
let
God.
someone
All
who's
right,
not.
all right,
And
all right,
nobody
all right.
wants to hear you.
All right.
You have wasted an hour and a half of my fucking
But you
time.
gotta
I'm
put
going
on
to
your
Okay.
get
big
All
boy
done.
right.
pants.
We're
Because this is
calling
bullshit.
it. All right. Everybody get muted again. I'm gonna get a fucking hotkey. Is what we're about to start doing.
There we go. I was funny. I didn't see that. I didn't know. I sat back down. It's like, holy shit. Krid's yelling at Wick. So there we go. Yeah, it is what it is. You know, I think that if Gibbs sort of nips that in the bud earlier, it's okay to have a little of that, but then to just be like, hey, can we just leave people finish their point and then you get a chance to respond?
I
think
was
it would be much better.
dumbfounded. I was like 2 sentences away from finishing my point. I was dumbfounded that he wasn't getting enough attention. He had to cry. Baby had to cry, and so he started whining. And I just had to ask him, does he not know how to shut the fuck up?
Yeah,
I mean,
he doesn't, and that's fine. Like, look, it is. I'm not here to just fucking bag on Wick tonight. It wasn't a good performance, but he knows it. His fucking audience knows it. They know what happened. When even your own side is like, yeah, I just think you're foundationally wrong on like the one argument you're making. I mean, even like the argument of like, you know, I didn't understand it. I thought it was weird. Like, also, I do slightly disagree with you that it's like, well, the talking about the past is sort of irrelevant. Maybe, but the problem is we talked about the present as well, and it's like, we don't know. We don't know what the summit will lead to. But the problem is Gibbs steered the conversation there, right? Because his first question, which was like, do you think Trump's the right man to do this? Well, compared to who? Right. And so it's intuitively, you're going to be like, well, what'd the last administration do? Right. So if I'm comparing Trump to who? Like, if I compare Trump to all the other world leaders, the mere fact that he's the president of the United States, whether that been Trump, Biden, Kamala, whoever, yeah, probably the right person for the job, because who the hell else can it be? Right. It's got to be the United States. They're going to be the key. They're the ones that's backing Ukraine. So it was a strange question to me by Gibbs, because I was like, if the topic's about the Alaska summit, that seems to be a question. And like, even Dylan's like, yeah, I think Trump's the right guy. And then Wick seemed to be like, well, no, because, you know, Orange Man bad. And it's like, well, let's buckle down on that, right? Because the conversation ended up going like a million different ways. And I was like, well, let's try to steer it back to this. Wick, do you think that Trump right now out of all world leaders is the right guy? And secondly, do you think he would have been preferable to Kamala Harris? Right? That's where I was trying to steer the conversation. And I don't know. Sometimes it's the debater's fault. Things sort of tangentially goes this way or that. Sometimes the specific question that's asked by the moderator sort of takes it in a direction that they didn't expect. But, you know, I thought that was, to me, it was like, is Trump the right man for the job? That seems to be one of the least interesting aspects of this conversation. But sure, if that's what the moderator wants, you know, no problem.
Yeah, it was an interesting. I mean, it was an interesting kind of back and forth, and it was. I think most interesting to me was Dylan initially saying that he felt like Kamala, whatever, could would have been better than Trump at negotiating, and then trying to justify it. And then later he then said, when you were talking to him, and you had made some good points. He walks that back and says, well, you know, Kamala had never actually negotiated anything on this level. Not really sure that her who she would have put in as Secretary of State.
Well, and Tyler did a good job where he was like, no, wait a minute. If it's just about aggressive posturing, Trump's certainly done things that are very aggressive. For example, he allowed Ukraine to attack inside Russia. So if that, and the answer that Wick gives there is not a bad answer, which is, sure, sometimes yes, sometimes Trump more aggressive, sometimes no. And that's where he makes the intel point. But the problem is the specific point he makes about the intel, Dylan's like, not really. And so it's like, okay, well, now when you have sort of everyone else on the panel's like, we don't see it that way. The nature of it is, well, you have to give some sort of source or some sort of argumentation to back it up other than just basically being like, I disagree. Okay, but based on what? Like, and one of the things that's tough about these conversations is, I'll be straight up and admit this, and people might think this makes me a shitty debater on the topic, but I don't know what the fuck to believe coming out of that region. I think that we're getting propaganda from both sides. So, for example, if I ask how many Russian troops have died and how many Ukrainian troops have died, I'm going to get vastly different numbers, depending on the bias of the news source that's giving me the information. I just read a report here 2 days ago that a supposed hack from Russia showed that like 1.5 million Ukrainians have died. Now, that's way more than the numbers that Ukraine's giving us. Now, the truth is Russia has an incentive to inflate those numbers, and Ukraine has an incentive to deflate those numbers. So how the hell do I know the truth? So I'm doing my best, just like every other normie, to sift through shit. I have sort of my principles as to, you know, I'm sort of non-interventionist. I look at like what I see as posturing that could have led to this conflict that I would like to see stop in the future. And I look at things like reasons that I think that Russia or Ukraine are corrupt and why we should be distrusting of them and not support either side, blah, blah, blah. But that's it. I can't, like, when it comes to the, you know, I'll be the first to admit, like, I'm asking Dylan and I'm sort of taking his word for it. Someone that I think's giving honest answers like, hey, what percent of Ukraine did Russia hold at the height of their invasion? What percent are they holding now? But he might be bullshitting me for all I know. I'm sort of taking his word, but I'm straight up admitting to you and everyone else, I just don't fucking know. I don't even know where to begin to look at those numbers because I know that I'm going to look at 5 different sources that give me 5 different numbers.
I think that Dylan was again. I was surprised that Dylan wasn't the problem last night. I really thought he was going to come in with a chip on his shoulder and really like and be Dylan Burns, right? But he was really measured. What he said had, you know, you could say, okay, that sounds accurate. The one thing, and I did kind of ask him about it, and I didn't really get a chance to dive into it because we were kind of wrapping up. But the long range drone thing where you know Ukraine can now strike into Russia. That's an interesting thing, but that doesn't really help Ukraine as much as I think he's kind of posturing that it does. And I think at the end of the day, the Ukraine just is really negotiating from a point of weakness, and there's no reason. The problem that when I kind of really wanted to get into this, and we kept going back to, you know, Orange Man bad, thanks to Wick, but Putin has no motivation to even come to the table right now. He doesn't care. The longer this drags out, the more land he's going to win. You know, the more influence that he's going to have in his own little sphere of the world. And and the less and the longer it drags out, the less world favor is given to Ukraine. They're running out of kindness.
But I disagree. I don't think that
think so?
Russia has no reason. I think that you're right about Ukraine's getting into a more and more desperate situation, particularly because not only are they forced to use conscription more and they're running out of men, but you're seeing world leaders that they rely on, like in the United States. Donald Trump is quick to be like, you know what? No more. Right now he's
Right.
sending them shit, but he might get pissed off and say, you know
And
what?
the
No,
EU.
and so that, right. And so,
the
you know,
EU's
I
got
think
their
that
back on.
Zelensky mistakenly thought, this is my impression of what happened, and people can agree or disagree. This is my gut feeling. I think that when Zelensky signs that mineral deal and then goes to the Oval Office to give that, presentation with Trump and Vance where he blows up, I think what happened was he met with Democrats and he met with European leaders that were like, no, fuck all this. Don't do that.
Mhm.
And if you take your case to the American people, they'll agree with you and they'll put pressure on Trump saying Zelensky's this honorable man, Ukraine's being screwed over, we must protect them, blah, blah, blah. But the problem, what they didn't anticipate is, one, a lot of the American people don't have an appetite for this shit anymore. And second, and more importantly, Trump ain't gonna put up with that disrespect. He's like, go fuck yourself then. Here was the plan we outlined. You seem to agree with it. And now there are people that are sabotaging this process that you're gonna listen to try to punk me out in real time. Fine. If that's how you feel, man, God bless. You're on your own. Good luck. Right?
Yeah.
And I think Zelensky thought, well, the backup plan, if that happens, is Europe's got my back. Problem is, Europe can't have your back. They're weak. They're not going to do it. They're not going to put in what's necessary. So what happens? Well, they start to realize like, oh shit, we got to go back to the United States and we start from square one, right? So I think that that's what happened. But I do think that Russia has a motivation. I do think that Russia's losing a lot of men. I do think that it's harming their economy. If they could get what they want and have an end to the war and declare that we had victory, we got pretty much 80 to 90% of the goals we want, then we're happy to do that right now. Now, if you had to ask which side's more desperate, which side needs a resolution quicker, it's certainly Ukraine. That absolutely I agree with you, but there's reasons to bring Russia to the table. And this argument, it may be true, right? I don't think it is, but it may be true. The argument that you're going to hear from people like Wick and to a lesser extent Dylan is like, Putin's unreasonable. No deal will ever work. He'll sign the deal and then he'll immediately invade as soon as they recoup.
Sure, I said a version of that too last night. I just made the point
think that's true. But
yeah, well, I just made the point that Putin is who Putin is, and I personally don't trust him. I do believe that if the one thing I do think, and I didn't get a chance to say this last night because of Wick just constantly being a dick, but. And nobody else seemed to say it either, but Putin, even though he'll talk out of both sides of his mouth, once a deal is signed, he's going to hold everybody to that deal, including himself. Now, that's not to say that there aren't, there might not be, areas pushed or something like that, but for the most part, I don't believe that.
And it's like I see Webmaster.
Rob
Rob does not think Putin will invade again. Okay, let's assume that's true. Then nuke Russia. Assassinate Putin. That's the only possible resolution at that point, right? If you leave Putin in power, then no matter what happens, even if he goes home with his tail between his legs, he's just going to lick his wounds and attack again, right? Yeah. So then why do the people that say that then just be forthright and say there's only one solution, invade Russia, take out Vladimir Putin or assassinate him. Just say that. And the people don't believe this. They say this and they're full of shit, right? Is there a chance that later down the road Putin could invade? Sure. Problem is, you're looking at this at one-sided. From the perspective of Russia, they could point to a bunch of shit that they think the United States has violated international law or Ukraine's violated, etc. So, like, the idea from Ukraine or from Russia's perspective, the pro-Russian government of Ukraine was ousted in a violent revolution that murdered innocent people in 2014. And then the United States said, oh boy, goody. Now, whether or not the United States was involved in that color revolution or they just took advantage of it, nonetheless, Russia looks at this as aggression. They see the United States as a foreign enemy occupier in Syria, another one of their allies. They're looking at it like, fuck, the United States, either through revolutions and supporting them or through directly invading countries, it's starting to encircle us. And we were told they wouldn't do this. We were told they wouldn't expand westward. So one way you could look at it from, Dylan's point of view is like, Ukraine will refuse to accept a deal that doesn't give them a security guarantee, blah, 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 blah. Couldn't you say the same of Russia? They're not going to accept a deal that's like, we want to fucking promise that NATO's not going to expand westward. We want to fucking promise that the United States is going to stop meddling in our allies' countries like Syria. We don't want bio labs right in our border. We don't want weapons right in our border. And so, yes, I tend to agree that I think Russia's the badder guys here, but it ain't like the other side's some fucking saint.
That's a really good point. I mean, you know, a lot of this started over Crimea and the ports, the Four Season ports there that are Russia's only, deep water Four Season ports, so that they can ship goods all year round, right? And so historically, those have been
idiots. It just. Then what would you? So then let's accept this. So then both the Biden and the Trump administration know that Putin will never follow a deal, never. So even the attempt to try to get a deal is erroneous. So instead of just wiping Russia and Putin out because they're Sauron, they're just fucking evil and they will always attack no matter what and won't follow the terms of any deal whatsoever. Instead of just wiping out, they say, you know what we'll do? We'll just putz around and leave Ukrainian men die by droves. Knowing that no matter what, what's the end goal of this? To try to have some sort of negotiation? No negotiation will ever work. Even if the negotiation would be 100% in Ukraine's favor, Putin will just rip it up as soon as he rebuilds his military and he'll invade again. So then, Josh, what would you do? Tell us right now. You seem to be a very intelligent guy, Josh. What should we do here? We have to cripple the military so it can never be rebuilt of Russia, like we did Japan. We have to violently overthrow Vladimir Putin, right? We have to declare war on Russia. The United States and NATO must declare war on Russia. Or are you happy to just have a slow bleed out at the cost of Ukrainian men? Is that what you're happy for? Let millions of Ukrainian men die. Step one is to follow all of Russia's propaganda. And here you have it. This is the intellectual honesty of these fucking losers. Oh, you're just spreading Putin's talking points. It's just Putin's talking points. Go fuck yourselves. You bring nothing to the table. Nothing. As is evidenced by this fucking bullshit comment. Anyways, Wick, I'm so sorry. Wick. Fuck. Sorry about that, Grid.
I got
Wick,
you.
all these names. Grid, Wick, Gibbs. Like, I'm fucking them all up in my head.
It's all right.
I gotta let you go. I'll give you the final word. We gotta get to some.
Yeah, no, I think it was a good debate last night or discussion or whatever you want to call it. I don't really see it as much of a debate as more of a roundtable discussion. It got a little heated here and there. I think that at the end of the day, I go on those shows to kind of, learn almost as much to learn as to actually debate the points. Although I'm certainly willing to do so. It's unfortunate that that show last night wasn't ruined, but it was made less by Wick's spurging out. And he'll take that as a win. You know, he claims he won. He took 4 wins against Andrew, and he'll claim that he took the W's and all of that. And he's a special guy, that guy. So, and that's all I can say.
Did I not send this? All right, man. Well, hey, thank you so much.
Yep.
Really appreciate it. We'll talk.
Yeah, I got to go start my show. You have a great rest of your show, and we'll talk later, my friend.
All right. Thanks so much. Take it easy. Yeah, I just love these people. It's like, oh, no deal could ever be had. Then why even try? Wipe the dude out. But no, we don't want to do that. Why not? I mean, that position is morally indefensible. If your argument is Vladimir Putin will never stop, Russia will never stop, okay, then why don't we take him out? Nah. Okay, then what? Just keep financing so Ukrainian men continue to die knowing that Russia will never stop no matter what? And even if somehow Ukraine's able to push Russia back, they're just going to come back in a couple years? That's it? That's your position? And you think that's a good geopolitical strategy? You think that's a moral position? It's nonsense. Russia always violates any agreements. So's the fucking United States. Want to talk to the Native Americans and see what they think about U.S. treaties? So does that mean that every country's like, fuck it, let's just go to war for the United States perpetually? They won't follow agreements anyways. Why does the position have to be binary? If there's no possible negotiation, what other option is there? I'm asking someone, what's the option? Tell me. Putin can never be trusted. He will attack. Even if we force him to sign a treaty that says, here, we're giving you stuff you like, now go home, he'll immediately rip up that treaty as soon as he builds up again and attack. It does not matter. If we beat him and he negotiates a ceasefire, he'll just attack again. Therefore, because he can't be trusted, what's the option? What are we supposed to do? It's not worth trying to get a ceasefire. It's not worth trying to get a peaceful resolution because he's just going to rip it up. Security promises? Why would that help? Why would a security promise help? He's just going to attack as soon as he sees it. If you want a real security promise, it's to stop Putin's ability to attack. Why would Putin sign anything for a security promise? Why would he do that? If he knows, I'm just going to keep attacking, why would he voluntarily pull out now? So what you're really saying is the United States needs boots on the ground in Ukraine right now so that Putin can't attack anymore. It's not a solution offered. It's impossible. It won't work. It's a stupid solution, and I'm not crying about it. I'm pointing out that you, once more, another person that has TDS so much that literally you have to make your screen name about Trump and something that's just farcically a lie, that you're not offering any solutions. You have a ham-fisted interpretation of Zelensky's good guy, he's Aragorn, Putin's Sauron, Putin always evil no matter what, there's no negotiations possible with him, so instead we should negotiate for a security deal. For security guarantees. Why the fuck would Putin do that? In your world, why would he ever say, yes, I'll pull out now so that you could put troops here to make sure that I can't do which is my agenda, which is to perpetually attack no matter what? It's not a solution outside the binary because it still falls into you have to use the U.S. military to get involved right now. It's fucking childish and stupid. Well, why do I think he would ever agree to peace? Because I don't agree with you. That he's just this subhuman monster that only wants to kill for the sake of killing. I don't agree with you. That's your interpretation. Your interpretation is we can never believe anything the man says. He will always attack at the first chance he gets. Then, okay, then the implication, if I believe that, if I seriously believe that the guy who runs the country with the highest stockpile of nuclear weapons in the world will always attack. Always. He's a bloodthirsty maniac. I would say then we have to take him out. That's what I would say. Not you, though. You're like, nah, let's just ask him politely to leave so that we could put U.S. troops there, and then he won't be able to go into Ukraine. So what? He'll go somewhere else. Why would he ever leave? Can I quote where you said that? You said that we can't trust anything that Putin ever says, that any peaceful negotiation that he will just rip up and attack again. Anyways, done arguing with you. Let's read Super Chats. Continue to get those Super Chats in. Where were we? Bandit 848, $2 says, this is chaos. We don't shush in here. By the way, the chaotic are winning. We're at 126.54 for those that are coming in late. I don't know why there's this big battle between two factions in my chat. There's the people that donate and want to have it be an uneven number like it is now. $126.54. And then there are the people that will try to get that to a nice even number. So you can see some people are agents of chaos. Lower class, what a fucking legend. Great to hear from you, man. $50 says Neurons, assemble. Thank you so much, lower class. Man, it's great to hear from you. Thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate it, man. Naughty Germ, as always, thank you. Always appreciate it. $5. Thanks so much. The great Long Nate, again for $5, says Wick never engages with hypotheticals from his opponents, but can only use his personal feelings about the rest. Bandit 848, $2 says Wick needs his emotional support blanket. Actually, that sounds nice, huh? Nate, $5 says W Grid for ruining Wick's night. And then Agent of Chaos Ron Quay becomes a member. Thank you. Lord of the Nerds for $10 says reframe the Ukrainian conflict with libs. Make them commit to their serious claims with boots on the ground. Or call them cowards and Putin supporters. If he's a threat, why don't they want troops? Yep. They can't answer because they know boots on the ground's a really bad idea. But then, okay, then what's the alternative? We try to negotiate peace. Now you can't negotiate peace because Putin will lie. Okay, so then you want boots on the ground. No, we don't want boots on the ground either. Then I guess status quo. Keep sending money so that Ukrainian men go to the meat grinder until I don't know what the end game is. What's the end game here? Well, until you grind down Russia enough to have a negotiation. Why? They're going to lie in the negotiation. They're irrelevant. So what's the point? Lord of the Nerds for $5 says Russia cannot be both an existential threat to the West and also not important enough for direct Western intervention. Anything else is a BS claim. Correct. You didn't directly say Putin was a violent monster. You implied it by saying that he would lie about any peace deal because he wants to keep attacking. Why don't you call in? Trump is shorter than 5'11". Why don't you call in? The link's up there. We'll put you to the head of the queue. How's that sound? I know. You're that guy that can't figure out how a microphone works on a computer. We know how it is. Or you're on your lunch break or whatever fucking ever million fucking bullshit excuses we've heard a dime a dozen, particularly from TDS assholes like you who have to have Trump in their screen name because your entire life and political philosophy is based on Orange Man bad. I get it. Dime a dozen. I'm saying that it wasn't a direct quote. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that you implied it. So, we'll give you a chance to call in here. I can't. My niece is in the other room and I can't talk right now. Oh, I have laryngitis. My voice is gone. I can't figure out how to work my computer. If you can't handle the conversation over text, I'm not sure you can handle the conversation over voice. I'm handling the conversation over text quite frequently. Quite fluently. Imagine that something like this happened. I say, I think Putin wants peace. And you said, oh, Rob implies that Putin wants a nonviolent resolution to this. And I'd say, quote me saying nonviolent resolution, quote me. Well, you said that he wanted peace. So you're admitting that you misquoted me. See? You're admitting you're a liar. Yes, you didn't have the exact quote. Yes, I am back to talking to you. Are you done talking to me? I thought you were done talking. My bad. You're right. I'm so sorry. Trump, you're right. I'm so sorry. That's my bad. I did say I was done talking to you. So, all right, let's keep getting those super chats in. Next, we have Byron. What's happening today, sir?
Not much, Rob. How you doing, sir?
Pretty good. Having a great day.
The first thing I wanted to say is that I need to offer a short apology. I have not yet found the source for the first edition of Tiny Dungeon for you. Right now, Drive-Thru RPGs only got the second edition stuff and some of the supplemental stuff from the first edition. I will track it down for you, though, because
Awesome.
I promised to find that for you, and I try to keep my word on cultural and nerdy things because I'm a geek. Second thing is another cultural observation. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but it's a nice dichotomy. Behind you and to your left, you've got that image of the dude from The Big Lebowski.
There he is.
Sitting on his toilet, and that image is from the moment in the beginning of the film after he fishes his glasses out of the toilet bowl.
He got himself a swirly, yeah.
And the German fellow or Austrian, whatever he is, picks up his bowling ball, unzips the bag, and says, "What the fuck is this?" And Bridges, the dude, says, "Obviously, you're not a golfer." And I thought it was a great line and image to parse up on the other side of you is an image of a silhouette of a golfer. So just a small little...
Thank you. That's Carl Spackler from Caddyshack. You can't read what he's saying, but it's Cinderella story out of nowhere, former greenskeeper. That's what that's from.
There's a triple layer in there then, because earlier while you were speaking to Grid, I think it was when you were talking to Grid, regarding something you were referencing to someone in the chat, you said, "You'll get nothing." And you had a perfect moment. You could I followed it with, and you'll like it.
And you'll like it. Yeah.
A triple reference
Spalding.
on
Yes.
screen.
Yeah, I
That's
see
epic.
both of these movies. These are two of my favorite movies, and the strongest connection between the two is they're sort of movies about nothing, right? Like if I ask someone if you've ever seen Caddyshack, if I ask you what Caddyshack's about, you would be like, well, it's about this young man who's working at a golf course that's trying to get into college, and so he sucks up to this judge trying to get this scholarship, right? But not really. Like, that's tangentially what the movie was supposed to be about. But then, if you know what happened in the production, they had like Chevy Chase, Rodney Dangerfield, Bill Murray, and they're like, what the fuck? How can they not be the center of this movie? And so it ends up being like, it's almost like a TV show. It's just like there's a bunch of characters and like there's some shit going on behind the scenes. But the final act, you completely forget basically about this whole scholarship stuff. They sum it up by Rodney Dangerfield being like, hey, I'll make it worth your while. Like, that's it. So then the implication is, I guess Dangerfield paid him. But it's very funny. Similarly, The Big Lebowski is intentionally trying to be a movie that's laughing in your face because it's basically about nothing. It's about a rug that got peed on, basically is the whole movie.
Coen brothers have always been fantastic absurdists in the true fashion of absurdity as humor and commentary on the oddities of life. Brilliant choices for imagery there. Just wanted
Thank
to
you.
throw
Well,
that
now I will have to say this though. There's about to be some changes. So I'm going to change. It's very difficult. If I had a wider camera angle, which I thought about doing, you would see I have a couple more things up. But I got some stuff to add up there. I got a painting I got from BX Bullet, and then Drunk Batman made me an awesome wood carving of my logo. Plus, then I'm going to have the sign that's going to be. I decided instead of going with an LED sign, I went with one of those marquee boards. So we're going to have the chat of the week displayed there. So I don't know what's going to make it. You can see, other things I have up here. That is a painting my son made me for Father's Day. And then over here, we have one of my favorite quotes from Theodore Roosevelt from the show I used to have, The Arena. That speech is called The Man in the Arena. So I'm going to have to pick and choose. And then this, the
beautiful quote.
This here was made by a friend of mine in real life. He made this for me. It actually lights up in the background, which you'd notice if I turned all the lights off, but it's not very noticeable. So I don't know. It's going to be tough to make decisions. So unfortunately, the dude and Carl Spackler may end up getting moved to the other.
It's a good combo.
But here's the deal, right? What I can do is I can have him on that wall.
Oh,
right? So
okay.
Maybe I'll put some stuff over there. I pulled down some of my styrofoam or whatever you call it, foam, like sound stuff, so you can see where I pulled it. Yeah, you can see where I pulled it down. So I don't know. I'm glad you noticed that though. I'll be honest. Like my wife did 90% of putting up the stuff in the background because she's like, "Here's stuff that you like. Let's do that." So
good taste, and I imagine that there is at the very least a subconscious understanding of your form or brand of communication and humor that went into that particular arrangement.
Yeah.
Another brief apology to your audience. I know I don't generally speak to the actual socio-political topics that are the focus of your program. And if that is an annoyance or a worry for you, I can always hold off on that thing. But I'm not as thoroughly read in on socio-political topics that you tend to bring up. I don't like to comment on these things unless I have a solid foundation and understanding of an actual valid point that hasn't already been expounded upon far more expertly and far more knowledgeably than I could possibly posit. I'm not the brightest bulb in the box. I take a while to formulate things.
I think it's fine. I sometimes you can get bogged down, especially me. I'm usually doing between this show and the show in the evening, 6 to 7 hours a night of political content. Yeah. That's why in the evening, I think people that pay attention notice like about 12:30, I'm usually transitioning to like, hey, let's do silly songs and, chatting up people in the chat because it's tough to. So, anytime that there's a call,
a little bit more of a sociable
interaction. But I will give you the last word here because unfortunately we do have callers on the line. But
not a problem. I actually am my last word. I am going to tie it into a socio-political comment regarding the person who was just spurring out on you there in text. Clearly does not have an understanding of the principal makeup of the traditional Russian personality and cultural approach to dynamics such as negotiation. Obviously has no understanding of things like the writings of Dostoevsky or Kromolya Volsov, or Junkich, who are large influences in Vladimir Putin's foreign and domestic policy makeup, and he has said as much over the years. These are great Russian thinkers and novelists who are also deep philosophers who have helped kind of formulate his approach to, I will honor the deal so on my end, so long as you don't fuck around on your end. The moment you break the deal, all bets are off. Clearly, this person jabbering at you does not understand or appreciate that aspect of the culture.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's just real simple. It's just like they want to be like, well, Putin's just this horrible man. He'll lie no matter what, right? He'll never accept any peace deal. He'll just lie. But it's like you can make that same argument from the perspective of any subjective country, right, towards any other, right? From the perspective of China, they could be like, U.S. won't honor agreements, and the truth is, it is sort of true. Like all of these world powers, dude, there's different levels of shitty, but they're shitty. Right? Like, for example, the United States, do we honor international law? I don't know. Did we honor Syria's sovereignty?
No.
We'll just make an excuse. We'll say, trust us, bro. Same way as we did in Iraq. Same as we did in Libya. Same as we did in Afghanistan. We'll say, hey, what we say is right because we're winning. So fuck you. Right? But from the perspective of the enemies, it's like, no, you invaded. You shouldn't have done that. Right? Yeah, but here was our reason. Russia says the same shit when they go into a place. Well, we have reasons. You know, and so, like, if you're from the perspective of, if in Vietnam, should there have been any sort of negotiated ceasefire? Well, no, you can't trust the Americans. Can't trust them, right? So why even bother? We have to fight to the bitter end.
Especially if you take the perspective of, oh, well, it was claimed to be a police action, not a war.
Right. So, I mean, and listen, I'm not saying, now, I'm pro-America all the way, baby. Don't get me wrong. I don't like the people that run the country oftentimes, but I'm cheering for me and you. I'm cheering for our country, right? That's certainly true. And I think the cultural relativism, it's like, well, the United States is equally as bad as other countries, and also, no, that's oftentimes over-exaggerated. But I'm just saying from the perspective, like, it's not as simple as a picture either that people say. That's just like, United States, super honorable. Ukraine, super honorable. They abide by treaties. They abide by all of this stuff. And Russia won't. They'll never abide by any of it. I don't think it's that simple. And if you do, my counter to that's like, if that's true, then give me a reason not to put boots on the ground. Give me a reason. Right? There seems to be, if your argument is this dude that is command of at least maybe number 2, but I think number 1 still in the amount of nuclear weapons, why should we let him in power? If you're like, he will never accept any peaceful resolution, the implication seems to be, let's say, why is he attacking Ukraine? I assume that these people would say something like, well, he feels it's necessary for the security of Ukraine, or for the security of Russia, blah, 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 and the resources are important for the security of Russia. Okay, given that then, if he feels that he's going to lose that, why wouldn't he escalate and go to the next step? He still has more weapons he could use, up to and including nuclear weapons, so why wouldn't he? And if he's never going to be interested in peace, and he's always going to say, we feel unsecure, we need to find opportunities to attack another place for their resources, for our security, then why not take him out? Why not? How is it like when you basically are like, this person is completely unreasonable and it's not worth negotiating for it with him because he will always lie to us, therefore no negotiations possible. Okay, if that's the case, then you have to use force. It might not be completely wipe out his country. It might not be completely take him out, but some direct force application need be used, right? What's the alternative? Continue the status quo? Keep sending money to Ukraine so they could fight and die? How is that a just position? I don't understand it. And these people, they haven't, all they want to do is they want the war to continue. And so this is one of the ways they do it. You can't trust Putin no matter what. So it's a fool's errand to even negotiate with them. Okay, then what's your solution? Security guarantees. How do we get security guarantees? Who are we negotiating those with? We can't do it with Putin. He ain't going to leave. You just said it. He has no incentive to leave. He would rip up any peace deal. So what's the plan here? Anyways, Byron, I got to let you go. I'm so sorry, but thank you. Thank you for the kind words in the comments.
Make fiction great again.
Thanks, Byron.
Big tour available now.
Make sure you put your links in the private chat, and I'll put it up there again, man.
Will do.
Thank you. Take it easy. All right. Let's get to 50% of the super chat before we bring on the next caller. I'm assuming it'll be a good one. Contemporary Compendium, $5 says, forgive the shameless plug, but there's a 30-minute clip of Robert Barnes discussing the brief history of the Russo-Ukrainian conflict on my channel. Nice. I like Robert Barnes. Oh, people aren't donating. So let's see. Did we have any $20 donations that I missed? We had a 50. No 20s. Also, I'm glad that the Team Chaos is winning. 131 and 54 cents. Nice. Well, we didn't do a $20 donation. Well, then, while we wait for the next call, I'll give you a little taste of one thing I was working on I thought was funny. I gotta say, like, the people I work for are the best. The folks over there at Crucible are awesome. Oh, shit, but I did screw up there. Okay, here's a clip of Cory Booker. He's having a bad time here. Now, you see, one thing we know about Democrats is they're very good. Oh, the person, well, that sucks. We had a person call back in person. I promise I'll get to you. Cory Booker's very good, and the Democrats are very good at sort of being interested in restrooms, whether it be themselves being in restrooms, sending biological males into females' restrooms, having tampons in biological males' restrooms, whatever. They love restrooms. So I thought this clip was interesting. Now, this is Cory Booker, and he is going to flip out, and he's going to scream racisms because, you see, there's laws that say you can't record from restrooms. You know, makes sense. You wouldn't want to be live streaming from a restroom where people could walk in. And also there's laws about where you could stream stuff if you're a member of Congress, etc., because, you know, potential being overheard, etc. So let's see how that went. I'll just play the clip and you can judge for yourself. Let's see how Cory Booker's doing today. Spoiler alert, he's going to yell racism and they claim that people are authoritarian. Ready?
And all of our Democratic elected officials.
Sorry, I have to leave. They said it's a felony for me to do this. Apparently, I can't be on the floor or in the bathroom. Well, you told me I was only allowed to be here in the bathroom. No, hang on. Bye, everybody. I've got to go.
Hey, that is outrageous. And first of all, let me tell you something. Representative Collier in the bathroom has more dignity than Donald Trump in the Oval Office.
There you go.
That is outrageous. What they're trying to do right there is silence an American leader, silence a black woman. And that is outrageous. And I hope everybody took note of that.
Yeah.
The fact that she can't even let her voice be heard is freaking outrageous.
It is.
And this is what we're fighting for here.
Yeah, it's outrageous.
This is ultimately what this
We're
is
fighting.
about. What we just witnessed. Is trying to shut her down and say it's illegal for her to be in the bathroom and on this call. This is the lengths that they're going to in Texas to try to bring about a system so unjust and so unjustifiable that they are going to try to silence those leaders from being heard and speaking out.
Yeah, wow. That's what the Democrats are fighting for the ability to be able to do congressional calls in the shitter. Finally, a policy that the Democrats are capable of articulating. Kudos to them. Now, I guess when your polling numbers are in the shitter, and you don't have any policies you could run on, might as well speak from the shitter, right? That's a good thing. Now, I was going to play the Cory Booker gave a salute song, but my goodness, Contemporary Compendium, thank you for the $20. And you know what that means? Anytime there's a $20 donation, oh no! If I can find it.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the lashes says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gone.
was going to bring on. There's a caller. As soon as he gets back in, I think he's having some trouble with this connection. We'll try to bring him on. We're trying to get to 50% before that call. I remind you, this guy, Austin Hall, this guy right here, Austin Hall, says $357 a day is highly unreasonable. Allegedly, Austin Hall likes to do Zoom calls from the shitter. Just saying. That's the type of guy he is. So if you want that guy to win, that's a victory for Cory Booker. That's what Cory Booker's fighting for, everyone. The ability to do congressional business and stream from the shitter. So, hey, man, I guess it'd be nice as a streamer if YouTube wouldn't ban me if I was just sitting on the shitter in public restrooms. Whatever. All right, let's bring on our next caller. Fallen Heathen, what's happening, sir? Nice Wu-Tang
What's up,
shirt.
man?
Not much.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. How's your back doing? Sorry, I was sitting at my desk right now. How's your back doing, man?
It's better than it was when I was working my other job because I was doing a lot of. One of the things that happens is you're told you're not supposed to do stuff at work, but if your job's like healthcare and the person you're taking care of weighs 180 pounds and they fall on the ground, what are you going to do? Not lift them up? Now, what happens when that person's going through a medical episode where they're falling to the ground 15, 20 times a day? So there was a lot of that and medical assistance stuff. So my back was getting worse then. But since June, since I've quit that job, it's been getting better. So I'm hoping between, like, I'm doing some yoga stuff. I'm trying to eat better and, like, trying to do, like, they have me doing, like, I stopped going to physical therapy, but I still do exercise.
I don't know if you remember me, but I was that dude that clickbaited you into watching my video. So I was just curious how you were doing with all that.
Failed.
I know you quit your job and stuff.
I did. I failed. But good news is that me and my wife just started a very low carb diet yesterday. So my son went to school for the first time yesterday. It's so weird. Like, as someone who I think's probably more interested in fitness, let me tell you from a fat guy's perspective, I think a problem that a lot of people like me have, which is,
just to be fair, I'm not interested in fitness. I'm forced into it.
Well, okay. For me, it's like this. Like, you'll come up with a plan, right? And be like, okay, I'm going to exercise. And I'll do well for a while. I'll be eating good. And then something will happen. You got a wedding. And it's like, well, I'll eat like shit today. I'll drink a little. I'll skip my exercise today. And then the next day, you're like, well, shit, I'll skip today too. And then all of a sudden, it's 3 months. And it's like, well, I fucked up these previous days, so why even get back on the right path? Until you realize, like, well, that sort of defeated the whole purpose of it. And so I set these arbitrary benchmarks. Well, I got this life event coming up, and here it is. And when that's done, then I'll start again. So that's the phase that I'm on right now. So we started, like, for example, last night what we had for dinner was chicken breast with squash and zucchini, which I think not bad. Between that and, like, starting to work out a little more, I think that if I stay on that path, I would be good. Now I've already lost, probably since I've been streaming full time, I've probably lost 15 pounds since June.
That's fishing, dude. That's good.
And the other thing that's really good is my blood pressure was never, like, dangerously high, but it was like 135 over like 88 or something like that. I went to the doctor here last Friday and my blood pressure was 113 over 77. And they're like, damn, like, what have you done differently? And I'm like, well, I'm eating a little better, but I think the big thing is I left my job, which was stressing me out, like working 100 hours a week. So I am committed to getting healthier, though, and I do appreciate the video you sent. I don't know that I'm going to do a full, like, carnivore diet, but I am going to try to limit myself as much as possible to just straight meat and green vegetables. That's the goal.
It's definitely tough, and it's a lot harder for women. Like, I try to get my wife to do it with me, and for whatever reason, they need their carbs too to keep them going, which doesn't really make sense because if your energy is coming from fats, you would think they'd be fine, but they're not.
People say you look like huh? This guy says you look like the Punisher.
The Punisher?
That's a good thing. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, carbs. Like, it's really, dude, sugary drinks, and so much of our lifestyle now is just sitting down. Like, you sit to drive to work, and then a lot of people sit at desk and stuff, and your hamstrings get really tight and pull on your lower back. And like, I grew up skateboarding, riding dirt bikes, riding BMX, so my lower back was screwed. And I've been a welder fabricator for 25 years, so I've been on or 25-ish years. So I've been on my feet my whole life and stuff, and it led to a pill addiction, dude. I was stuck on opiates for a really long time, and it wasn't until I got sober and started taking, like you said, your health serious, and started taking diet and fitness, started training jiu-jitsu, and stretching a lot that I realized that a lot of people's back pains, even if you have herniated discs and stuff, the inflammation is coming from our diet. You know, it's coming from sugary drinks and bad carbohydrates like, you know, breads and tortillas and stuff. But I mean, I eat potatoes, you know, I put potatoes in my diet. I don't like shy away from greens, but I primarily try to only eat animal products.
It's interesting. You know, one thing I'm learning, I'm not trying to disparage the doctors that I've worked with. I think most of them have been good, but it's probably has to do with sort of how commonplace what they often hear is. Basically, the first thing you hear when you walk in, you're like, I have back pain. They're like, how many pills do you need and surgery? And it's like neither of those things. Like I would like to avoid both of that, you know?
So my dad's had some issues with his knee. He's overweight, you know, he was on high blood pressure medication and he had psoriasis. And I was like, Dad, just try an animal-based diet for 1 month and let me know how it goes. Well, he did it for like a month. His psoriasis started clearing up, but about the same time as he started the diet, he started a different medication. So, of course, he's like, oh, it's the new medication. And then he goes in there and the doctor says, you know, your blood pressure is down. You know, what have you been doing different? And he's like, oh, my kids got me on this carnivore diet. And he kind of went over some of the foods he was eating. And the doctor said, for one, stay on your blood pressure medication. And for two, stop eating so much fat. Because he's like, instead of eating ground beef, eat ground turkey. And I'm like, no, Dad. I'm like, everything is getting better. Why would you, you know, change? And doctors, unfortunately, only do like 8 hours or 10 hours of dietary stuff when they go to school. They're honestly legal drug dealers. I have zero faith in our medical system, and it sucks, but I honestly don't trust the doctors for much.
Well, I mean, I think the pandemic did a lot of healthy distrust for people in that regard as well. But yeah, I mean, it is. I understand the financial incentive from them. I'm not even saying that they're all like corrupt, like, yes, whatever, we're doing things that
they just don't know.
I think that's a big part of it. And they're in this mode, right? They're in this mode. It's like, if I see this even in the medical field. I worked with people with autism, adults with medical disabilities like that, autism and other illnesses.
Yeah, and diet would help those people out a lot.
Oh, that's
too.
certainly
Sorry to
true.
interrupt you.
No, that's certainly true. But oftentimes, what you find is, whatever the issue, it's like, well, here's a pill, right?
Yep.
And
everyone wants a quick fix.
Right. And so a lot of times you can imagine, like, I can't get into like specifics for a specific person, but imagine something like this happens. Like, you know, a person he's nonverbal, he has autism, starts acting out. Right now, all of a sudden he's throwing his TV remote against the wall. He did that like 3 times in a week. And so you go to the psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist talks real quick and goes, well, we're going to put you on Zoloft or something like that. We're going to do that, right? And it's like, well, can we talk about the fact that his dad just died? Do you think maybe that has something to do with it? Maybe it's not something that requires. Maybe it's just a guy who can't verbalize how bad of a time he's having right now. And instead of treating it like that, like, we're going to help you get through this difficult time, we're like, here's some pills to shut you up. Here, this will make you sleepy.
100%.
And you at some point you're like, that's just the mode that these doctors are in. There's a problem. There's a medical intervention, right? There's a pharmaceutical intervention, you know?
The scary part is like, I got hooked on painkillers from my doctor, but when I wanted to get off painkillers, they were zero help at all. You know, a prescription for Vicodin for like a month's supply was like $20, but to get on Suboxone to get off of those was like $500 a month. Insurance doesn't cover it. You know, the same thing with like benzodiazepines. You know, Jordan Peterson had to go over to Russia and go into like a detox coma to get off of benzos when he had his issue. And it's just, dude, they help you they'll get you hooked, but they won't help you get off.
Well, I'll say, I think you're absolutely right, and I appreciate the help. I think I need more people prodding me to be healthier, particularly with diet and exercise.
You know, I tried not razzing you. I was going to keep hitting you up and keep drilling you like on Twitter and stuff, but people don't like that. You know, people get annoyed with it, and I didn't want you to block me.
No, I promise I will keep you up. You tune in. I think that I'm in a better headspace, and I think that I'm going to stick with it. It's not a 100% complete carnivore diet, like I said. Like tonight, I think we're having pot roast, and then we're going to have Brussels sprouts with it, and I think green beans. So there's definitely plant-based in there. But I think even that's going to be much better than what I was eating. But the last thing I'll say real quick on this, though, is like one advantage that I do have, which is sad, but it's true, is I've watched people very close to me go through pill addiction. I was lucky enough to never have any chronic pain in my life until like a year and a half ago when I had this back pain. So by that point, when it happened, I said, please do not give me pills, because I saw how it could devastate people. And for me, I would rather take Advil every day and have back pain than get hooked. What the ravages I've seen of people getting hooked on.
Well, be careful with those, because like ibuprofen and stuff causes inflammation as well. Yeah.
There's this interesting, you know what? It makes me think. I saw this doctor. I think he was on Tucker Carlson.
Cam Haines.
Cam
Haines. That he's like a big hunter guy and stuff. And he was taking like 600 or 1,600 milligrams of ibuprofen for his knee. He like runs ultra marathons and stuff. And he was on Rogan, and one of the doctors on Rogan said, "Quit taking that crap. It causes inflammation. It causes issues with your gut, which causes inflammation." And he quit taking ibuprofen, and his knee quit hurting.
It's weird.
Like, so,
I mean, not weird. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, it could be detrimental.
This is taking it in, I don't want to say conspiratorial, but like an interesting direction. I saw this doctor. He's an Asian gentleman that was on Tucker's show, I think, like maybe 6-7 months ago. I'll have to see if I can find this and put a link to it. His claim was that he thinks the way we're treating cancer is absolutely wrong. He thinks cancer is a result of chronic inflammation. And he's like, ironically, a lot of the medications and treatment we're doing make inflammation worse. So we're curing the symptoms of cancer through things like radiation, but you're actually making the core underlying issue worse because you're causing more inflammation, which he believes, he thinks that he'll be vindicated in the future, that we'll find that it's actually inflammation that's causing all of this cancer.
So yeah, cancers and tumors, I think, I know exactly what you're talking about, are fed off of sugars and stuff like that. I think a lot of our issues that we're having, with kids with autism and a lot of like ADHD and stuff, it's a bunch of kids wound up on crap they're not supposed to be eating. I know from my kids, I don't want to say they had ADD, but they have like the, characteristics of ADD. And we switch their diet up, get them, because kids love, tortillas and bread and stuff like that, sugary drinks. And we get them off that, an hour before bedtime, no more TV or no more video games and stuff. And it completely changes their personality, their sleep patterns, everything. I think so much of our issues can be solved with diet and exercise. We just became too solitary. We used to have to go out on the farm and grow our foods, and we killed our food, and we, ate the things we grew. And now we go to a grocery store, and I'm sure you've been seeing all these, Snap videos where they're going grocery shopping and they're buying, $1,000 worth of just garbage. I think RFK getting rid of, sugary food and drinks and stuff, I mean, that's going to have a bigger impact on our health system than anything.
I totally agree. Hey, I got to let you go. I might have to wrap up a little early. But please call back in. And I definitely took what you said to heart, even if I failed. But I am trying to do much better here. I just happened to start yesterday. So thank you so much for the kind words.
I'll keep calling in today. Actually, I was just trying to figure out how to do it. I'm kind of a boomer when it comes to technology. So it was pretty easy.
Yes, you did fine. Thanks so much again, Fallen Heathen. We'll talk soon.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, take it easy. I know, Nate, we have you in the background. Get some super chats in, everyone. Let's get the super chat ball on. Let's get super chats. Let's get them in. I gotta take a call here real quick. I might have to wrap the stream up. So get some super chats in because I may have to wrap up. Let me read the ones I have. Level 4 Lobster for $4.99 says, first they came for our pennies and now our sugars. Resist. Fat guys with beard for life. All right. What do you want to hear as a grifting song? Reminder, tonight we're going to start at 2 a.m. I'll be streaming starting at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. But at 2 a.m. will be the weekly griftathon. So tune in for that. Let's do. Let's see. Oh shit. Olive Char song. Why not? Be right back.
Straight the top, an alpha male. Leave no leader standing as you give them hell. One brain to bring you to tea. Olive Jaw stands on the top of the mountain afar. A challenge inviting, a sight so frightening. Olive Jaw crushes men like lightning. When all seemed lost, an avenger did rise from down under land with fire in his eyes. A rattlesnake struck with power so great, the olive jaw defeated by fate. There is only one thing to fear. One brine to bring you to tea. Olive Jaw stands on the top of the mountain afar. A challenge inviting, a sight so frightening. Olive Jaw crushes men like lightning. Oh, like lightning. Oh, like lightning.
I don't know why my mic was muted. I said, yes. Thank you so much, Magus. $5 says the olives seem bigger than they used to. Things are looking up. Totally agree. A little bit of a Dio vibe. Yeah. Listen, we'll probably wrap up around 2. We're going to get our friend Nate that's in here. It'll probably be our last call. Now, I remind you, far be it for me to grift for money. That's what I'm doing like all the time now. But if we're going to have any hope of beating Austin Hall today, we're going to need to get those donations rolling in. It would be mucho appreciated. But I think I got some work to do for the Crucible here come 2 o'clock. So we're going to try to work that out. Maybe a phone call about some behind the scenes things with Andrew. Or maybe I'm fired. Who the hell knows? My answer's a good dude. I'm not fired. But let's bring in Nate, who we always enjoy hearing from. One of the hardest working people in any of these shows that call in. Nate, man, it's so great to hear from you. How you doing today?
Good. I'm not getting any of the normal feedback stuff. Am I lagging or am I good today?
No lag at all.
It must be just locations. I don't know. Anyway, so first of all, I want to say anybody who disagrees with me or argues with me can bring it up with $5 or more super chats so that you can leave a message. The $2 don't count because you can't type in your message, right? All right.
And also $100 to kick any caller. So if you really hate Nate for some reason, you could donate $100.
Okay, so I'm thinking, do you remember back Obama's second term when the Democrats when the Green Party from the West Coast made arrangements with Democrats from the Midwest to swap their votes so that the Green Party the Midwest would vote more green so the Green Party could actually get on the national ballot, and the left coast voted Democrat in exchange.
I vaguely remember this, but I don't remember the details of the story. But
right. Well, I'm a handful of years older than you. So anyway, I am really concerned that we have a whole lot of really quiet last minute Republican voters, and that basically, so the way the parties have set themselves up, in order to vote in a primary, you have to be registered as a Republican in order to vote in their primary. You do not have to be registered as anything. You can be completely unregistered voter, show up, register, but not declare, and vote in a Democrat primary. Okay? So that's on the national platforms. I'm concerned that especially in the East and West Coasts, the numbers that we're seeing of increased Republican, declared Republican voters might be some subterfuge where the Democrat Party is telling their people, go register, screw up, get them a horrible candidate, screw up their primaries, get them horrible candidates, and then come election day, boom, we've got them because you come back and vote for our people.
So a couple things to say about this. I don't think that certainly there could be some level of that going on. However,
they've got to be smarter than me on the national platform, and I've figured it out pretty quick.
But I think that there's other metrics that suggest that there's more systemic problems. For example, the fundraising problems, and the other problem would be if. Imagine that you're a millionaire, right? And you're looking at this and you're like, well, shit. Okay, at this point, I could put in money behind Trump, and I think that he's egotistical in the sense that he'll probably benefit me, and the lobbying could be somewhat beneficial, and so I'll be rah-rah Team Trump. Or I can put my money behind the Democrats, but I need to see evidence that they're likely to win, right? And so I'm looking at metrics like, holy shit, voter registration is in the toilet. But that's okay. It's all a secret plot that actually Democrats are maintaining or increasing their margin, and it's just they're pretending to register as Republicans. I don't think that bears out when you look at the 2024 election. I don't think it bears out when you look at donation numbers, and it doesn't bear out when you see the panic that the Democrats have right now. Now, can it be true that there are people in individual states that are like, sure, register for the opposite party? Yeah, that could be true, but it could be true the opposite way as well. There could be Republicans registering as Democrats, like in my state of Pennsylvania. I could register as a Democrat and vote in the Democratic primary, and then in the general say, I'll prefer any Republican, but I'll try to pick the least shitty Democrat, or I'll sabotage and try to pick the Democrat that I think would be, shitty and easy to beat. But I don't think that it's going to be the massive problem that you're saying, or that rather the issue you bring up is already baked into the cake that I think has been being done for 12 to 20 years, and I don't know how much of an effect it's had. So when we look at, like, it's not just like, oh, the numbers have shifted a little. We're talking like a 2.4 million voter registration swing, and I don't think that a substantial portion of that is people pretending to be Republican.
Well, I think I'll tell you, I think that the one hope for the Republican Party, and I'm not Republican, okay? I guess the most concise way to explain where I am would be an anarcho-conservative, right? I want to slam the federal government down to like 85 people, all have offices in the warehouse, and screw everyone else. You still have Congress and all that, but as far as all the bureaucrats and all that, no. Slam it down to under 100 people who all have offices in the White House and who can be seen and heard every day, right? Federal government needs to have no power other than what we give them. And I do think that it needs to be called to a emergency referendum vote for declarations of war. We can do it just fine. Anyway, the way I am concerned about this because of the cleanup of voter rolls that are happening, right? Now, in the states where it's happening on both sides, in all parties, right? It's just cleaning up of voter rolls. It just so happens there's one side of the political sphere that really likes to use undocumented and deceased individuals.
Yeah, I agree. No, I definitely think that you're talking about something that's happened. I just don't know that it's unique, that it's occurring now when we look at these stark numbers of the switch. I think those numbers are real in the sense that it shows an incredible shift in large swing states in this country from having enthusiasm for Democrats to that enthusiasm going more towards Republicans. I share your concern with the Republican Party. I think oftentimes they're shit. And ironically, in some of the deepest red areas where we get the actual worst Republicans, and maybe that's a result in those areas of seeing people register. I don't know. that are actual Democrats that are registering Republican to vote in the primary. But when it comes to the swing states in particular, like, you could have made this same argument when it was like, oh, Ron DeSantis in Florida. I don't think that you're actually seeing a Republican surge in Florida or Ohio. And look at what the voting results are. So I don't know. I think that the data is right. I guess anecdotally, I can tell you that I've talked to Scott Pressler here in Pennsylvania, and I've worked with him in increasing voter registration. He certainly does not think that he's registering secret Democrats. He thinks that he's registering tens of thousands of people that formerly didn't vote, that were former Democrats, that he's convinced are very animated, that they're pissed off with the Democratic Party. And he's registering people like Amish people that I don't think are secret Democrats.
No, definitely not. They're more
Amish
like me.
Yes, the Amish are far more conservative than either of us, probably. So I don't, every time you could get, and it's actually an interesting philosophy. It's something I've said. All the people I know around me 95% of them would vote Republican. It's just most of them don't vote because they don't give a shit about politics. They're like, whatever. And that's one of the problems that Republicans have had to overcome, sort of this enthusiasm. Because a lot of conservative people that are conservative-minded, they just want to be left alone. They don't really give a shit. They're just like, whatever. I just want to go to work, come home, hang out with my family. Democrats have done a good job instilling in their base that, like, voting matters. The government can be evil, and you need the government to be on your side. And a lot of conservatives are just like, I just don't want to think about it.
Well, not to mention a lot of the conservatives, especially out in rural areas that are not voting, they're actually just picking up the shifts for those people who take the day off or take hours off to vote. I mean, I did it all the time before I really got active. And now any vote that I do cast is 100% against the uniparty establishment.
Yeah, I mean, I found myself in precarious situations, particularly on off years, right? When it comes to voting, when I had my previous job. Like, so I'm going to show up on a Tuesday. Yeah, unless my guy's having a medical emergency, then what the hell am I going to do? Right?
Right.
And so I really, really don't want to do the mail-in voting route. I want to be there in person for various reasons. But it did become difficult. There were times where it's like, I have to work. And certainly there are people I know that you're right, that didn't give a shit much. And they were like, I'll work election day. No problem. I'll cover a shift. No problem. No skin off my back. I don't give a shit. I wasn't going to vote anyways. Get some overtime. So,
right.
But hey, I'll give you the last word here. Then I'm going to wrap up the stream around 2:00. But thank you so much as always, man. It's always a pleasure to hear from you. Where are you driving? Or you still towards the West Coast here?
Yeah, they're keeping me in the 11 western states. I'm sitting here in the Salt Lake Valley area, metropolitan Salt Lake, sitting and waiting for a door. My appointment was at 7:30 Mountain Time, so that was 4.5 hours ago. Waiting for a door. I drive 20 miles. Pick up an already loaded drop and hook for a loaded trailer and head back out to Reno. But next Monday, next Monday, I actually am landing back at the main office, get in my personal vehicle, and go head out for 5 days at a cabin with some of at a lake with some of the most consistent, over average Mackinaw and splake and rainbow trout that you would not believe. I mean, yellow perch that are averaging 6-inch diameter. I mean, 6-inch plate size. Like it is for Utah. It is an awesome place. 5 straight days with some buddies from high school.
That's amazing, man. Enjoy it. Like, it's amazing. Like, of all the stuff that you could do in life, like when you actually get out in nature with friends and you can experience something like that, that'll stick with you. It's good for the soul too. So I hope you enjoy yourself. We'll probably talk before then, but I really hope that you enjoy yourself there. Nate, thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate it, man.
No worries. If I get catching anything, I'll jump on next week. I'll jump on live and show you some of the skins.
That's awesome, man. All right, man. You take it easy.
You
take
too.
It easy. Yep. Miggy, Thanks so much for calling in. I got like a minute and a half for you, man. I'm so sorry. I got like a hard out at 2, I think now. So what's happening?
Well, I don't know if you saw, but the case that was levied against Trump by Letitia James has been thrown out.
Yeah, we talked about it a little earlier. I don't know that the case was thrown out or if it was just the judgment itself that was thrown out. So the guilty verdict may still stand. I haven't read into it much, but certainly the excessive $500 million judgment was thrown out.
And the Democrats also has a new plan called Project 2028, where they plan to do all kinds of stuff like tax billionaires out of existence, tax mega churches, establish women's right to choose, even though that the Roe v. Wade has been overturned. I think there was a few others that was also kind of insane, like increasing the federal minimum wage to $20, getting rid of the Electoral College. Pretty much everything you could probably think of that's probably insane.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of that, but I mean, no doubt that's just same old, same old. I guess they just put a name on it. But hey, Miggy, I gotta go, man. Thanks so much for the call. Tomorrow call in, I promise I give you more time. So sorry.
All right, that's no problem.
Take it easy, Miggy. Always great to hear from you. Listen, please, please, please. I just want to say this. Please don't suggest in my chat to go troll someone else. I don't want that environment. So please. You can make your own decisions that you want to do, but I don't want my audience to be known as an audience that drummed up support for going to troll someone else. So not like upset or anything about it, but just wanted to say that. All right, we got 5 minutes left, and then I got a hard out. Thanks so much. Nate hits the nail on the head, says, close the gap on the donos, hurry, for $10. We could do it. We got 5 minutes. We could get, someone's about to drop a huge sum of money. I feel it. Probably not, but that's okay. Ezra says 6-inch diameter was my nickname in high school. Wow. That's amazing. Very thin waist. No problem, elbows down. I don't mind. Just, you got to be careful about that shit. Like people, especially on YouTube, man, people mass report me anyway, so I don't want to give any ammunition to people that say that I would be interested in brigading people. I don't do that, so now let's see if there's someone I could raid. Potentially. Oh, Grid's streaming. We can raid old Grid. Why not? I think I know a way. First off, it looks like Team Chaos is going to win. We're going to end with a weird cent. $171.53. Not an even number. It's funny. We'll whip you all into shape. We'll at least get some donation here. There's something that compels people when you threaten them with the whip that they donate.
Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, we don't want to go to war today. But the Lord of the Lashes says, nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's sword.
Oh, man. You know, it's time to wrap up the stream when even the whip song's not garnering any donations. Now, you guys have been incredibly generous tonight. Thank you. And I know you're saving your money for tonight's Griftathon, where Crucible Crusader will put his title of Chad of the Week. Oh, my goodness. Chad of the Week. He's going to put it on the line. You'll be able to win. Look at that. Nate, $5 says make him late acknowledging $2 donuts. Thank you so much, Nate. Nate's a professional grifter himself. Look at this shit. But you'll have your chance to win that. Now, a couple updates on the Griftathon. It'll start between 1 and 2 a.m. We're going to do a regular show leading up to that. But a couple updates. I am next week going to have a marquee board. It's supposed to come And that's not going to have the technological problems that my LED board continues to have, the piece of shit. I can't get it working. So we'll have your name up. The Chat of the Week's name will be prominently displayed all week. And I'm also talking to a merch guy Monday, and I think we're going to have something special for the Chat of the Week. So if you win and you're willing to give me your address or any sort of mailing address, I think we're going to have something special for you as the Chad of the Week. So tune in for your chance to win. Yes, it will require at least a $5 donation on your part to be in the running to win. But if you don't know how the Griftathon works, the last qualifying donation of the night is the winner of the Chat of the Week. That means if someone donates $100, but you donate $5 after them, and then the clock runs out, you win. You're the Chad. So it's a fun game. It's fun for you all because you get to compete and be petty against other people in the audience to be the person that wins the coveted Chat of the Week award. It's fun for me because I make money. Everybody wins. It's great. What a great scheme. Almost like a thinking man came up with that. But no, it should be a lot of fun, and it's going to be my pleasure. It's $4.99 is good. We allow it, level 4 shit. So, last chance to get donations in here. We're going to be rating Grid, an unreasonable man over there. So if you're really itching to beat that Austin Hall bastard, now's the time. It'll require about $180. $180 donation will get us to the... someone's going to do it. Someone's thinking about it. They're like, well, I could pay my rent this month, or I could donate $180 to Rob so that he beats this Austin Hall character. And that's what's really important, right? I know that someone's out there thinking it. Their fingers over the button right now. They're like, yeah. You right now, I'm talking to you right now that's considering it. Yes, you. We all know. We know it's you. Go ahead, hit that button. We won't tell. We won't tell the wife that you pissed all the money out. Just tell her you lost it gambling. It'd be bad if you're like, yeah, you know that fat guy Rob that's always playing that whip song that you're telling me to turn down? Yeah, I sent him $180. And your wife's going to be like, what the fuck? Why? So just lie. I bought a bunch of booze. I gambled all the money away. I purchased pornography. One of my favorite Simpson jokes of all time. He wrecks his car, and the police officer's like, you said you were coming from Moe's. What type of establishment's that? And Homer's brain goes, don't say bar. Quick, think of another store that's open late at night. And Homer's mouth just goes, Moses, it's a pornography store. I was buying pornography. And then his brain goes, great job. I would have never thought of that. It's because I didn't play the Hot Pickle song? You bats. All right. I got a couple minutes. I'd give you a Hot Pickle song. Now you got to put your money where your mouth is, though. The old pseudo mariachi Hot Pickle song. Let's do it real quick, just for you.
Robnoerr sat down with his streaming dream, hot pickle in hand, it was spicy extreme. He said one bite won't take me down, but that habanero wore the crown. Hot pickle burning my soul, got me sweating like I'm losing control. But for $7.20,
The Latinos love me.
'tis brown. Said it's just a snack, but the pickle punched and it punched back. Eyes were red, tears rolled like a stream. Robnoerr was living the habanero dream. Hot pickle, burning my soul. Got me sweating like I'm losing control. But for $7.20, I'll take that pain. Chat donates big, I'll do it again. Oh, chat, don't leave me hanging dry. You want the heat, you gotta buy. My tongue's on fire, my pride's at stake. Help me out, for goodness sake. Hot pickle, burning my soul. Got me sweating like I'm losing control. But for $7.20, I'll take that pain. Chat donates big, I'll do it again. Good night.
Oh, wow. How about that? Oh, no. We don't want that. Wow. We got a couple super chats. Nate, 531 says, Spurg, donate to even it out. Amagad, $5 says, hot pickle. And the great level 4 lobster for $1.99 says, refuse to conform to pennies for the win. Thank you guys so much. All right. Well, there, Drew. There's your hot pickle. There it was. $2. Thanks, Drew. Says, I want the hot pickle song. There, you got it. All right. Thank you guys so much. It's been a good day. Austin Hall wins, but, you can't win them all. I'll take that shit personally tonight. We'll come back with a vengeance. This shame on me for failing you all to not inspire enough donations. I'll take this shit personally. I'm going to come back even better. Don't worry. So, tonight, 10 o'clock, be there, be square. Should be a lot of fun. See ya. As always, everyone, have a good one. By the way, you can send donations in while the outro's playing. I won't complain. It'll be all right. All right, we'll see you guys.